crossed, so we increase the opportunity you may get funded. At that point, if there is interest in the group, then we will go into a full due diligence with you, and that could be a short period, it could be a long period, depending on what you're doing and how well you're already organized, and your documents, how clean you already are. In the screening process, it's not too often that we just pass. A lot of times what we'll do is provide you with feedback. The information might be not yet, and we try and coach you and give you a lot of insight what you need to do and what's missing, and perhaps you still need to round yourself out a little bit more. A lot of times in that initial screening, especially if you're not used to the fundraising process, your message is probably more focused about your product and not about the investment opportunity. So we will work with you to help you do that, because we also realize that if you're out raising money like $1 million or $500,000, you're not likely to get it out of one place. And oftentimes you're going to syndicate with maybe multiple angels, so like the Band of Angels, Life Science Angels, Harvard Angels, any of those. We often will syndicate together with them, and we all have a mutual goal, which is to make sure you have good documents, and that not only we're interested in funding you, but when you go through Series A, Series B, you've got the right documents together that will interest the other VCs.
How many of you guys are entrepreneurs? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, don't lower your hands. I'm going to ask a few more questions and then keep lowering along the way. Right? How many of you guys are actually in the process of raising funds or starting a company or actually doing a startup as opposed to having done one before? Okay. How many of you are first-time entrepreneurs? Okay, so there's a reason I ask this, because my answer is not focused on you guys. Okay. Thank you. You can lower your hands. Very often we're asked, what's our criteria? And, criteria is pretty simple. We're looking for great investments, right? Problem is there is no one answer, as to why I got funded or why I didn't get funded, right? There's all kinds of reasons why we won't get funded, including, for example, we will do probably maybe up to 5 investments this year, maybe 4, something in that range. Now, with that kind of investments, we'll probably see, somewhere between 50 and 100 pitches. So because we didn't invest in you didn't mean that you weren't good enough. It's just that you didn't meet our criteria for whatever reason, right? If you are a serial entrepreneur, meaning, and my definition is very clear, you had multiple exits before, as opposed to you work for several startups, and you've really done well as an entrepreneur, the story is very different for you. You already have investors who backed you before, people are going to jump in and invest before you even know what you're doing, before even they know what you're doing, or anybody else knows what they're doing. So this is not based on you guys, right? If you guys are first-time entrepreneurs, the challenge always is convincing someone to take a chance on you. That's always very hard. And I have this theory of mine that I put to use many times. Very early stage investing is more about asking your investor to make a decision by the heart. There's not enough numbers in there, there's no logic in there. Somebody has to just fall in love with you and the idea and the team and the market and just get, enamored by it. That's just no other way around it. As your company starts growing, you start having customers, you start having some numbers, there's something to put together. Now I have something to evaluate, right? Again, may not be enough to do, 4-year financials, but at least I can say, hey, in the next 6 months, is your business becoming more predictable? Do you have to know who your customers are? Do you know who they're not going to be? So the answer changes depending on your very early stage or later stage. Now, if you're very early stage, you're going to be likely to get money much more from people that know you, right, than people that don't know you. You come out of the blue and you say, I've got this great idea for doing this. I've never met you before. Would you fund me? Just think about it, right? Forget the VC. I mean, you just find somebody in Starbucks and say, hey, I've got this great idea. You just have to invest $100. That's it. Right? Can you convince that guy to put $100 on that first meeting? Probably not. Right? I mean, I can think of one guy who made somebody do that, but that's an exception, right? Again, an exception. Most people are not like that, and I'll tell you the show offline. But what's most likely going to happen is, you're going to trick someone into taking a second meeting, right? And the second meeting, the guy starts thinking and says, yeah, there's something missing here, but I can help. I can add a few more things. I know somebody who can help. And if you do that a few times, right, you're going to find this person getting more and more intrigued by the idea of the company, the team, the people, want to get involved with you guys, and maybe make an investment. So that's how we invest at the early stage. We sort of want to get to know you. We want to know if you can get involved in that idea emotionally, right? Even though we're trying to have other partners that pull the guy out of being emotional. We want to make a cerebral decision, not an emotional one, but that's what early stage is about. So, don't expect someone to fall in love with your idea at the first meeting itself. Try and find a way to get them to like you, like the idea, get them to fall in love over time. Our later stage investments, as in Series A and beyond, are much more analytical, right? So those are not about, there's obviously some element of saying, can I believe these guys can make, $200 million company? Sure, when they're making, $500,000 in revenue. Yes, you have to look beyond. But at least you have some numbers, you have some customers to call, you can make a few things. So early stage, what we try and do is find things that we like emotionally. If they don't have customers, we'll see if we can help them find the first 3-4 customers. And then, that gives us confidence that, hey, this may be a deal worth doing. We'll probably do that before we invest. That's sort of diligence. For Series A and beyond, the answer is very obvious. You just need a company that's starting to grow, starting to be successful. Our criteria is going to be like any other VC, so there's not much to talk about there.
By the way, I have the Wi-Fi password. Here it is. Buy it now! Exclamation mark. If anyone needs Wi-Fi, buy it now! Exclamation mark.
Buy it now.
Thank you.
Is there any capitals or?
Well, I don't know if it matters, but it's capital B, capital I, capital N.
Any questions on the password? So, I think those are all really great points, and to a certain extent, we're very similar. We're not strategic investors, so we look across all sorts of things, but we are looking at a diversified portfolio. So one of the things we're looking for is portfolio fit. Our process is, because we'll invest as early as seed stage and in our later series, we're looking to see kind of early on what is the market opportunity. And as mentioned earlier, when you can present what the opportunity is, very often we appreciate the market, we understand the market already, but sometimes it's a new market and we want to know what really is your specific addressable market. Not just all over the world, people pay $20 billion for something broadly, but really, what are you going after and what is your core product and service? And so we'll look at how far developed is your technology and do you have any evidence of market traction? If you don't have a fully developed technology or strong evidence of market traction, it's probably not a fit for us to invest in yet. But we love to talk to you early, and that's one of the reasons that we do angel investing events, pitch fest, and things like that, is because it's not uncommon for us to meet an entrepreneur, develop a relationship, because as mentioned, it is really about a relationship and getting to know the entrepreneur and the management team over the course of a year or two. We get to know different ventures through emails. We review everything that comes in as a cold email. We're looking to see kind of where are you located, what's your core product service, what's your market, what's your technology. But we also learn about companies through pitch fests, through conferences, through service providers, lawyers, accountants, friends, people's neighbors, our portfolio companies, management, other rank and file employees throughout our portfolio. So we'll hear about a company in any manner of way. We usually want to see an executive summary or investor presentation first, and then we'll screen it with 1 or 2 of our 6 investment professionals over the phone. And then decide as a team very early on, kind of review it for the portfolio fit and technology and provide some initial feedback. Either it's just wholesale, not a great fit for our portfolio. That's less common of an answer. Often it's, not right now, but please put us on your update list. Here are some of the things we'll be looking for, things we want to know. And then if it does appear to be, we'll start to bring them in for meetings and then do follow-up questions and kind of keep you apprised of the process throughout. We meet as a team throughout the process so that our whole investment group is on the same page as we go through and up to speed. I'm happy to answer more specific questions, but often because we invest in a variety of different sectors and industry, it varies considerably. But I would say that the earlier point about an entrepreneur and the pitch needing to be compelling is very true. Because it doesn't matter what it is, if we can't understand why it's important and how you're going to take your passion and your skill set and take it to the finish line of hopefully a very high return for venture capital return,
then it's hard for us to see where the investment opportunity is.
If you want to get our attention, you should go to sfangel.co/funding. You can submit your request there. But trying to not reduplicate everything that was said on the panel, I think that one of the things we really look at is big markets that are perhaps really new, so we can get into them early with the right team. And someone with a reasonable request. So if you have a new idea and you're a first-time entrepreneur asking for $5 million, it's not a reasonable request. So hopefully you're coachable, so you can understand and maybe start off with a smaller amount. We take a lot of small bets, if you will. We take a little gamble, 25, 50K to get started, to see what will happen. We actually execute on the idea. And if you happen to do so, then we'll follow on with that current round with a bigger amount. So if you start off well, smaller numbers, you'll get our attention. One thing I want to say is that when you're talking to investors, think about this. I'm going to give you an analogy. They're thinking about, they're listening to a favorite radio station. Perhaps everyone's favorite radio station here is WIIFM. What's in it for me? And investors only think about that. So the more you can talk about what's in it for them, the more you're going to captivate his attention and you're going to lead him around. But if the moment you start talking about this product or what's in it for you, you're going to lose him. Hope that makes sense or not. So when you present to an investor, try to think about, why would he care? Ask yourself, who cares when you say this? Who cares? So try to deliver statements that, if you talk about the team, explain to the investor why you would care that it's a good team. And I think that if you're thinking to raise say $100,000 or keep a small number, maybe meet with people and try to see if you can get a smaller number commitment from someone. Instead of trying to land the whole funding from one person, see if you can get a $10,000 commitment. And get that a few people interested, because if you get that one person interested in say 5 to 10K, it may open up the Rolodex or add the other funding rounds. So you may get funding a little quicker that way. Contact me for more details.
Thanks, Mali. Thank you. So, again, I'm an angel investor. I'm in groups, and I suppose it's kind of obvious for you, but just to make it really clear, angels invest their own money, their own pocket money, unlike VCs. And also we do it on our own time. And that makes kind of all kinds of changes, I think. And the one thing, for instance, I'm still actually somewhat new to this, but I'm not sure it's super healthy when angels invest first and then VCs come later and more money is needed. In the end, obviously you have huge successes that everybody knows about, Facebook and everything, but there's a lot of failures, and actually I've been personally witness to one of them just a few weeks ago. I can't give you the details, but its company ended up being like an acqui-hire for actually a surprisingly high amount of money. But basically the early angels got wiped out again. So, but kind of cut a long story short, and hopefully we go about these things later on. I've joined 2 groups, and I will only invest in the opportunity, in the flows that go through the group. So it's a very democratic process, and you're welcome to apply, see what the group's looking for. So Band of Angels is one of them, bandangels.com, and Koretsu Forum, also known as K4. I mean, if you're serious, you're going to know about these groups anyways. Check what they have and what the process is. And I can tell you briefly about, for instance, one of the processes. And again, another thing is I'm doing this on my own time. I also happen to have a day job. I mean, we can debate whether I absolutely need that or not. But it's very useful to think that you're doing it on your own time and you want to be time efficient. So I'm not going to every single screening, but I think I'm fairly involved though, and I pick up on the stuff that I really like. But the screening process is quite democratic. For instance, Koretsu, every member can join, and the room is actually pretty full. A lot of members show up, and they will vote. And there's going to be 10 pitches, and the top 3 making it, and the others don't. I think it's good. In the end, when you go to the final pitch meeting, you have a high quality deal flow. and that's what you want to look for. So if you've got a little bit of money to invest here and there, you got a lot of good opportunities to look at, and that's what we want. So I think fundamentally, I believe the angel group's process is a good thing, and to some degree, it's a lot of volunteerism also for the members. They put a lot of effort into helping with the screening and all kinds of stuff. But it's a good process. So you guys should look into it.
Anyone here would like to see a PowerPoint of a company that's funded, so you know how to model it? Yes? All right. I asked that question a while ago, and I have a good one, so I'm going to change some of the details. If you send me an email to Manny, M-A-N-N-Y, at sfangel.co, and put PowerPoint in the subject line. I'll send you that, and hopefully you can model it and help you with your funding request.